Subtracting decimals. When subtracting decimals, we must line up the decimals. It's important. We may need additional zeros to line up. And we're going to begin by subtracting from the right, and then we're going to be moving to the left. So let's look at some examples. So example 1, children in the neighborhood do a lemonade stand. If at the end of the day they made $87.50 and only had to spend $14.98 for the cups and lemonade, what was the profit for the day? So $87.50 is what they made in the lemonade stand for the day, but they have a cost of $14.98. We need to go ahead and subtract. So 0 minus 8 can't be done. We need to go ahead and borrow from this 5. So that becomes a 4. This becomes a 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. Now 4 minus 9 can't be done. So we can actually go ahead and borrow from the whole one spot, right? So this 7. 7 minus 1 is 6. So we can borrow a whole, essentially 10, or like $1. So that's 10 tenths, right? Or 10 dimes. So now we have 14 minus 9 is 5. Then we bring down that decimal straight down. 6 minus 4 is 2. 8 minus 1 is 7. So what was their actual profit? $72.52. Now let's go ahead and look at the next example. Example 2. A local business owner wanted to compare their 2 employees' time worked in a given month. If employee A worked 145.8 hours and employee B worked 128.1 hours, how many more hours did employee A work that month than employee B? So let's go ahead and set this up. So we have 145.8 minus 128.1. Notice we lined up the decimals and all the place values, right? So we have now, starting on the right, 8 minus 1. We get a 7, bring down the decimal. 5 minus 8 can't be done, so let's go ahead and borrow from the tens. So that becomes a 3. This becomes 15 minus 8, which is 7. 3 minus 2, 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So 17.7 hours. That was the difference in hours worked. Now let's do the last example. Example 3. So we're going to subtract the following. So let's go ahead and write this out. So we have 6.034. Then we have 2.968348. Now we're going to go ahead and add 3 decimals. So there's 6 numbers after the decimal in both of the numbers. So now we can go ahead and subtract. So we have 0 minus 8. Well, that can't be done, so we actually need to go ahead and borrow. We borrow from the left, but notice that's a 0. This one's a 0. So let's go ahead and borrow from this 4. This 4 then becomes a 3. 4 minus 1 is 3. Then we make a 10. But we need to go ahead and keep borrowing. So then that becomes a 10. We borrow from there. So now we have 10 finally. The digit we need. So 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 4 is 5. 9 minus 3 is 6. And now 3 minus 8 can't be done, so let's go ahead and borrow from this 3. So that becomes a 2. And now we have 13, because 10 plus 3, 13 minus 8 is 5. Now 2 minus 6 can't be done, so we need to go ahead and borrow. And we can't borrow from this 0, right, because it's just 0. So we need to go all the way to the 1 spot. Make this a 5, make this a 10, which we borrow from. Now finally, and now we have a 9 here, because 10 minus 1 is 9, and then we have 12 minus 6, so that's 6. 9 minus 9 is 0. Bring down the decimal. 5 minus 2 is 3. And we now have our number.